What's going on, guys? It's your boy Isaac. I hope you guys are doing well. So this is the Shop Lingo Part 2. I also want to give a huge shout out to Tech News for commenting on most of the things that I did want to do in this video, and some of the things that I also missed with the Shop Lingo. So thank you, Tech News. You guys know who you are. We appreciate you guys commenting and giving us more lingo to feed into this content. So let's get into the video. Let's start with IC chips. When somebody says IC, they're talking about an integrated circuit. It's like a component that's inside of the device. And usually what these components do is they help control or convert the touch to the display, the audio to the speaker, things like that. It's an integrated circuit that helps control some of those functions or convert some of those functions. So for example, like touch IC chips, the audio IC chips, those are all chips inside of the devices, the integrated circuits that help run these functions. And how you might hear somebody use this in like wording or whatever is they'll say, hey, does that IC need to be worked on? Is it IC related? Does that integrated circuit need to be changed? Things like that. So that's how you will use that and hear that when you're in the shop. The next one is going to be the ultrasonic bath or ultrasonic cleaning. This one is very, very popular with water damage devices. Corrosion obviously can grow on the motherboard of a device, so internally if it gets wet. And ultrasonic baths are basically machines that the board and components can go into to clean off the debris, to clean off corrosion, etc., to the best of that ultrasonics bath's ability. Man, that was a tongue twister. So that is when you will hear somebody say, hey, in the shop, does this motherboard of this device, or does this component need to to go into the ultrasonic bath? Does it need an ultrasonic cleaning, etc., etc.? Now we're going to go on to board work. So when you hear somebody say board work, they're not talking about like a cupboard, guys. They're talking about the motherboard, the silicone that is inside of the device. So when you hear somebody say, hey, how does that motherboard look, or how does that board look? They're talking about the board that sits inside of the device that has all the chips and integrated circuits soldered onto it. If you're really new to cell phone repair, you'll know the motherboard right when you open up the device, and you'll see it right away, because usually Apple has them either double layered, or what they'll do is most of the components are plugged in to that one board itself. So if you start unsnapping like the displays and unsnapping like the batteries and things like that, everything that's unsnapping from that piece inside of the device is called the board or the motherboard. And you might hear some tech say, hey, does that motherboard need board work? What they're just saying is basically does that motherboard need like some sort of soldering? Does it need to be inspected, etc., etc.? Okay, and I'll put a little picture right here to show you guys. I mean, that's super simple. We should know that. The next one I want to talk about is Digitizer. So when you hear somebody say Digitizer, a Digitizer is basically a glass display that has the touch sensor built in it, or has the touch function built right through it. You see this a lot in iPads. Like if you were to peel off an iPad display and you lift it up, you notice those flex cables. If you were to watch my first video, those flex cables that run off that glass display that is separate from the actual LCD itself, that is the Digitizer. It has the touch function built into the display. That's the Digitizer. Sorry, it's not built in. It has it built separate from the LCD display. That's the Digitizer. So the next one, guys, is going to be LCD. This is going to be the display that is separate from the Digitizer of what I just said. The LCD stands for liquid crystal display. This is a display that gives you your images. You're able to see the color on the display. You can't touch it. That's what the Digitizer is for. But you're able to see your images. And sometimes you might have people say, hey, I think my LCD is broken, you might have like lines going through your display, but the glass isn't cracked, things like that. Yes, on most displays, on the newer displays, the digitizer and the LCD are fused together, so they're glued together, which makes the repair a little bit more harder, and sometimes you actually profit a little bit less on them because the displays cost more. But the displays that have the LCD and the digitizer separate, those repairs are a lot easier. Okay, so that is the LCD. So you might have people say, hey, I think I broke my LCD, or are there rainbow lines going through the LCD? Does the LCD look cracked? Are you able to see images pop up on your display? Things like that, etc., etc. Okay, so these next ones are going to be for my people who either have stores or thinking about opening stores. They maybe be selling some sort of like prepaid in their stores, things like that. The first word I want to talk about is for this side of things is door swings. So when somebody says, if you're at like a conference or somebody's talking to you and they say, "Hey, how many door swings do you have?" What they mean, what they're basically saying is, how many people are coming in and out of your store, even if they're not buying anything. That's what they mean by door swings. Because a door swing is when somebody comes in, and they look around, and let's say, for example, even if they don't buy anything and they still came into the store, whether you're doing a good job of advertising or just getting them into the store, that is called a door swing. So if you hear somebody say that and they're saying, "Hey, how many of your door swings are you converting into sales?" They're saying, how many people are actually coming into your store, and how many of those people that are coming into your store, how many of them are you actually selling to? That is door swings. The next one is going to be doors. This is just one word. And like I said, you more hear this with the retail side of things. So if somebody says, "Hey, how many doors do you have?" They mean, how many locations do you have? And you'll hear people say this, talk like this when you go to conferences, etc., etc. So don't get confused. They're just basically asking, "Hey, how many doors do you have? How many locations do you have?" That's what they're asking. The next one is going to be fixtures. The word is fixtures. You'll hear people use this, and what they mean by this is, "Hey, what type of fixtures do you have in your store?" Or, "How is your store set up with your fixtures?" They're talking about like your display setups. Like if you have phones that are on display, the lighting that's over the devices, the racks and stuff that you have that are maybe attached to the walls to like hang your accessories, the chairs and the furniture in your stores, things like that. Those are called fixtures. So if somebody says, "Hey, um, what type of fixtures do you have in your store?" That's what they're talking about. The things that the devices sit on, your displays. That's what they mean. The last one that is super easy, you guys should know this one, but I'm just going to go over it, is floor. So when somebody says the floor, they're talking about your main floor in your store. Think about it that way. The main floor in your store where people walk into and they're either buying products or they're able to look at your products or they're able to come in and sit down. Um, that's what they mean when they say floor. So if somebody says, "Hey, um, is that customer out on the floor, or did we put those displays on the floor?" They're talking about the central area in your store where customers spend most of their time looking at your accessories, looking at your devices, looking at all your advertising in your store, things like that. So that is the floor. So thank you guys so much for watching this Shop Lingo Part 2. I hope this video provides a lot of value for you guys. I know some of you guys are newer to the industry, so by learning some of this Shop Lingo, if you go to conferences and things like that, if the conferences are available in your area, even due to this time right now, you're able to know what other people are saying around you. And also, it's good for customers to be able to watch this so they understand if they're getting their devices repaired. It makes it a lot easier for them to understand what the tech is saying. So thank you guys again for watching. Also, for the bootcamp update, I'm going to leave the video link up here. If you haven't seen that last video that I did about the bootcamp, I'm inviting 3 individuals out to Michigan. I already have 2 of them locked in. I am interviewing 3 more people that is going to take that 3rd and final spot. Once I'm done doing that and I get that 3rd and final person, I'm going to reach out to all of you guys. We're going to get tickets situated, things like that. You're going to come out to Michigan, and I'm going to teach you everything that you want to learn that you do not know yet. Even if you are experienced and you want to learn other things, or if you want to get into other ventures of cell phone repair, I'm going to teach you from the time of the basics of when the customer checks in till you give them their device, to mobile repair, to if you want to learn some soldering. I just bought a nice home here in Michigan, so I cannot wait to meet you guys and to show you guys what the cell phone repair industry has to offer. So thank you guys for supporting the channel. I'll see you guys in the next one. This has been Isaac from Shop Unbox. Peace.
Once I get inside, I don't wanna budge, don't wanna move. Baby, you know that's the truth. Just look at the things that you do.